Iron Stories, Episode 13, Breach. Welcome back to Iron Stories. We're back with Katania and Jebran, and we managed to get to the Underkeep of Spectres, which is a new site we discovered. So that's kind of nice here. We went here after hearing from Lost, after our endeavors at Lost Crag. We traveled to Thornfields, where we found out that there's kids that have gone missing in this Underkeep, and there is also like something spooky going on. This wrathful haunt that's the settlement trouble for Thornfields here. So Jebran and Katania, at the promise of coin, or rather some stuff, some valuables, they promised to get to Underkeep of Spectres and get a look at. And I have also had to read a little bit of a read up. There is a way to have like two themes or even two domains at the same time. And the way this works is you can basically, in the end, you can make up your own rules at when you want to look at which table. But as an example, in the books, they give you like, so if you roll on your D100 and you would land on the wild thing, so if you are within the first 30s, what you could do is to just say, okay, if it's even, I look up in one theme card, and if it's an odd number, then I'll look it up in the other theme card. So that's the way you can like mix and match different things. And you could even do this with different domains. You can have multiple domains, and you could even make up other rules to like evenly distribute between different themes and domains. So this is what I wanted to try out. So because this makes sense, this Underkeep of Spectres is on one side we're wild, so there's like there's probably wild animals going around and stuff. So that's why the villagers were so concerned about the kids that got lost here. So there might be wild animals that got hold of them and maybe have eaten them, or at least killed them. And on the other side, there is this haunted part of these ruins. So there seems to be something eerie going on. They hear voices or like wailing maybe coming from the ruins. So I will try out this thing. Unfortunately, Roll20 is not supporting this. I have to do this on my own. But I mean, if you're anyway alone playing, if you're maybe playing offline anyway, so this shouldn't be the thing here. But I have the cards laid out here in front of me. I have the two theme cards, Haunted and Wild, and the domain card Ruin, for this site. And I will say all the even I will look up on Haunted, and all the Wild I will look up. All the odds I will look up on the wild theme card. Let's say that's the rules I'm going on. So even haunted theme, and odd is the wild theme. So if it comes up during my my travels in the if it comes up during the travels during this in this site. So they arrived there. I think I said something like there's maybe like 1 to 2 hours from Thornfields. Is this old ruin? And so that's why the kids go there, because it's relatively close to the village, so they can get out, sneak out during the day, and come back. While their parents are maybe like working in the fields or something like that. I don't know how reasonable this is, or well, if they're a little bit older. Like, I mean, if they're like, I don't know, 7 or 8, then they don't need to be. They may be that adventurous. Maybe. I mean, I for sure was, especially if there was an older kid there. Maybe 10, 12 or something like that. So maybe not too old, not old enough yet to help on the farms or on the fields, but so it's still young enough, but not old. So yeah, but not too young to like hang out at home the whole day or near the mother. So there may be like a bit adventurous to get out a bit. I don't know. Could have been like that in the old ages. I don't know. We will see. So they arrive here. So it's still early in the day. I would say so. I would say they kept overnight and they traveled to the Underkeep, to the Underkeep the following day. So it would be still early in the morning. There's maybe there's still dew a bit on the grass and on the moss that's lying there. I mean, the ruin is maybe even somewhere a bit in a shady place. So there's maybe like forest or something like that. So there's like, or maybe besides a bigger hill or something that casts a shadow, or casts shade over the whole ruins. It's more so it's still a little bit colder, or well, there's still moisture in the air, and there's still this fresh morning. The night's coldness is still lingering around a bit. So there's a little bit moisture in the air still from the dew that's there. Everything here is, I would say, it smells. Even though they're not directly in the forest, it smells a bit foresty here. Just because there's like a lot of moss around that has been creeping over the ruins here. So yeah, that's how the site presents itself. So from the name, it's an underkeep, whatever that specifically means. It's maybe a smaller castle. So a keep normally is like a castle-like structure. So an underkeep would be some smaller castle. I don't know. It's kind of nondescript what this actually means. So I would say this was maybe previously a castle of some sorts that now has there's maybe like 1 or 2 of the big towers still standing. I mean, a lot of the stones probably has crumbled away, and there's like big gaps in the side where maybe the staircase was. So I mean, it's not entirely it's not the whole structure there. There's like vines and moss that is slowly creeping up from the floor up to these structures. So it's slowly creeping up and trying to take, the nature is trying to take over and take back the stone, which what is made of. And there's maybe as well. I mean, if you're looking at if it's a castle-like structure, so there's so normally you have a wall around the inner parts of a castle, where there are maybe like multiple buildings. So one is, for example, a quarters for the guards, and one is maybe a quarter for the servants, and then you have maybe a big building which is the castle proper, where you will find all these things like the dining hall and multiple bedrooms and stuff for the royalty, mostly the king and queen and their family. And there's also probably some sort of like throne room. So if you're thinking this maybe was a smaller castle, just maybe to here to it was built maybe to as an outpost sort of. So it's not a big complex. So it's just maybe like 4 towers, or I mean, it was 4 towers at one point, a wall, and then maybe some buildings that just there as to keep as an outpost. So it was more of a military installation than it was a what would you say, like a royal living thing, or a palace. So it was more a military installation, just to keep, and which I think makes sense in the sense of what keep means actually, because I think keep is one part of a castle. So Underkeep is, yeah, I don't know. That's how I imagine this whole place looking like. So there's maybe it's maybe tucked next to a bigger hill, so that's why there is a shadow cast, which makes also sense to like have so sort of maybe it's even, maybe you could even say that it's maybe built a bit into the hill, so to basically have a more defensible position, to have a side completely covered by this hill, or maybe a small mountain, right? Yeah, let's say that's a hill. So that makes it easier to fend. You only have to care about 3 sides instead of the 4 sides. So you're back basically. So you have a bit easier. So that it would make sense to only have, well, it still would have sense maybe to have 4 towers, but maybe just 2 tucked against the hill itself, and then 2 a bit forward. And so there's the buildings within this structure are then built in. And so yeah, you could say this is maybe that. And so there may be even some sort of mine here going on, but this is maybe something we have to find out then. So I would say that's more or less how this whole thing is. So there's a hill there is which the Underkeep is built into, or I mean part of it is built into it, but it's still big enough. So that's still big enough, or the keep is small enough so that the hill is producing a nice shadow here. That's also, and it's constantly moist as well. So that's why moss and vines are blooming here as well. So it makes sense from a nature standpoint. So yeah, that's maybe how this presents itself. And as I said, most of it is like the outer wall that's from this keep has crumbled in multiple spaces. Just so you can walk over the wall, or basically walk into the keep or this underkeep or the buildings of this underkeep by just maybe climbing just small portions of rocks and rubble, and then just you can go over this big in where it's just caving in or piled in parts of the wall, so you can get also as well into the keep here, so you don't have to like first get into the thing. So that's, and as I said, most of the buildings have been crumbled over from time. Nobody has kept the underkeep running, so there was no castellan or something like that kept it in shape. So it was just over time it has been crept over by all these vines and moss, and also why there's animals in here, because it's all these buildings and this and rubble, etc., makes for great hiding places for animals to keep their nests, so to speak. So to make them their homes. So it's makes also maybe as well sense on why animals would be here. So yeah, so they get here in the early morning hours. So there's just some dew still hanging in the air. The moss is shimmering from the moisture that is kept from the condensation that is kept on its body. So they both get there, looking at the thing, or the scene as it presents itself to them. And Jebran is maybe a bit grumpy under his breath. It's that it's bigger than the villagers have made it to. So he was just expecting just a small, maybe just one building, so to speak, which is maybe a bit bigger than a house, but just basically a building and that's it. So it would have been easy money, but this is like, even though it's not a whole castle, but it's still a bigger footprint to get around. I would say it's, now I have to get up with numbers. Let's say it's still maybe 100 by 100 meters, so that would still be quite a large area to cover. I guess just from the first visible structures he can see, so yeah, maybe 100 of 100 meter. I don't know if this would be considered big, but I mean I guess so. So there's like so it's just more or less like a square-like structure here, and on each of the corners there's one of these towers, and there's walls in between the towers. Well, just 3 walls, and there's, as I said, there's multiple crumbled pieces. There's maybe also a big portcullis that has been that is halfway just, or like jointed in the doorway, so to speak. So you could also maybe make it through there into the keep proper. So yeah, that's what it is. And Jebran is considerably grumpy seeing this rather large area here. Yeah, he was expecting an easy job here, but now he has to like check every corner of this big ass place. And he looks over at Katania and says, "Well, we will be we will be here probably a bit longer than expected. So maybe we will probably keep. It will probably take us at least a day to get around the whole place. So we should probably first find a place to, or we should just scout out the place before we search more thoroughly. Mostly to find a space where we could maybe make camp in the evening. So yeah, let's get the lay of the hand here. So just to see where we could maybe find a place that is defendable, maybe a bit off the beaten path, so they don't get surprised by bandits again in the night when they make camp, and also that is maybe a bit protected from the environment on one hand, so if it starts to rain, and also from animals. So preferably like some sort of old building where they can maybe even barricade a door and the windows, so they have like a safe space where they are sure that there's no like animals coming and eating them in the night or attacking them in the night. So yeah, so that's, I think, the first order of business is just to get the lay of the land here, to find a space to make camp later on, if we're going to be here the whole day. And he says to Katania, that's something you should keep in mind always. If you're not sure on how long you will be keeping here, the first thing is to search a space. Is to find a safe space. Above all, you don't want to search for it when the night is coming and you have less and less light. I mean, if it takes you a day to find a good spot, so be it. So you have spent the day in searching a new spot or a safe spot, but then you have done it in the during the day, during the light, where chances of you being surprised is less. If you have to do it in a hurry before it gets dark, you're more likely to make bad decisions. So it's a bit of wisdom that Jebran is handing over to Katania, and Katania is listening carefully. Maybe is a bit distracted by the whole scenery that's unfolding before her. So they walk now through the site, and I would say Jebran is leading the way. So he's delving the depths here, and he's carefully, as I say, looking around, checking to maybe for animal tracks, so he would know if they could be surprised at any time by wild animals, because I mean they know that from the description of the villagers that there may be some wild animals around here. So it is so it's more likely for him to be not surprised by that, and he's also maybe looking, and he's at the same time, I mean it's a lot of things that he has to be looking for, is to be looking at the same time for a good space to rest the night if it comes to it, and maybe even for signs for the kids. So it's a lot to keep track of, but I'm sure he's able to. Apparently he's not. It's a miss. Okay. Which, now that I think of it, now that I just uh, uh, enumerated all these things that he needs to be keeping track of, it's quite a lot for him to do, as it seems. So yeah, it's maybe a bit too much. He maybe did go in with too much of he maybe did go in a bit cocky in a sense. So he's maybe like trying to well, not impress per se, but like he's trying to uh, show, okay, Catania, this is how it's done, and maybe in that thing, and even while checking for these multiple things, it just maybe gets a bit distracted on this place. So let's try to reveal the danger. And it says you face an environmental or architectural hazard. So yeah, I would say that they move around a bit, and as I said, I mean there's a lot of so maybe they're even still at the start of their journey. So there is so he basically first tries to find, so they maybe circle around the whole perimeter of the Underkeep. So they're moving along the wall to find a opening, and Jebran is not really able to find a specific opening. The portcullis that is at the that where you normally would enter, it has there is a lot of, this is like, I would say this is, or maybe there's even yeah, I mean, if it's, there's maybe portcullis, there's maybe even two large wooden doors that are keeping in protected, and so these things, they have like rusted away during the years and rotted away, but they're now like in such a position that they're just barricading the doorway. So even if they would put in some force, maybe if they would have been more than just them two, they would be maybe able to break through all the metal bars and the wooden door, but Jebran couldn't be asked and couldn't be bothered maybe to do so. So they tried to move along to find another entry. And as I said, the walls, I mean, they're still quite high. I mean, there would be probably 5 to 6 meters tall, if not more. So it's probably hard. I mean, they might be able to climb them. They would take them for quite an effort to climb them. There's maybe like patches of grass which they could maybe get a hold of to climb the wall, but I mean, he's not really sure about the structural integrity, because it's such an old building or an old structure that it might just crumble down, and he can see on other parts where just the top of the wall has crumbled down. There's like a pile of stones underneath and a big hole at the top of the wall where stonework has already crumbled down during the ages, etc. So yeah, they're moving along to find another entrance, and I would say at some point they will find a part of the wall that has crumbled a lot. So there's maybe like a heap of rubble that is maybe like it's only so 2 to 3 meters high. So there's a big pile of stone rubble and dust there, so they could climb it or yeah, climb onto it and then move to the other side, because there's like a big gaping hole in this wall from all the, which is what the probably most of the rubble is made of, that it has seeped onto the floor, or the floor here. So Jebran says, well, it's probably as good as any place to get into there. He won't be bothered to um, he won't be bothered to um, uh, he won't be bothered to just trying to get rid of the portcullis and the door. So he says, yeah, maybe let's go here into the building, or into the keep. So, and Jebran is maybe already like if eager how he is. He wants to. I mean, he at some point he just wants to get to his coins, or his to his reward as quickly as possible. So he's like heading off, and maybe Katania is holding him back. So she's maybe at sometimes the voice of reason in the group. So before saying, let's not just head into here, or head into there without some sort of preparations. Maybe we can. I mean, it seems to be a big pile of rubble. If you were not keen on climbing walls earlier because you were not sure about its structural integrity or the structure overall, then why just head first into this big pile of rubble, which probably has, just because it is a pile of rubble, it has already shown that it's probably not as structurally sound as it could be. The wall already has fallen into this pile. The pile has over time, the more and more it has crumbled into from its own weight, just distributed onto the beyond the wall. So what makes you think that this is now much safer? We should take maybe some sort of precautions to and think about it. And when climbing the thing, it's not high, but if we should slip and fall, it would probably still hurt, and we will like slither on rubble and stone. So we will still be probably hurt a lot if we just not keep if we not think about it first. And Jebran, again, in his grumpy demeanor, he heeds her words. So he sometimes listens to her, especially when he comes. Especially if it comes when she has like ideas like these, where he knows, where he probably has told her that at one point before, and it's now like reminded of his own words. So he's maybe like a bit pissed that his own words are used against him. So he probably has to. He thinks to himself, well, maybe I have to listen to her, or basically to me, what I said before, to not sound hypocritical, to not just like preach wine and drink water, or the other way. Or was it the other way around? I never remember. So yeah, so let's say to our words. So I would say Katania is trying to help him, so that she tries to aid. I think there is some way aid your ally. Yeah, so she secures an advantage for him. So it's with expertise and observation. So she maybe says, "Okay, let's step back for a minute and just look at the rubble. Can we maybe find a spot where it may be where the incline may be not that steep, so they have a less likelihood to just slip and slide over, so they might just fall on the spot, so they can just get up and move along. And is there maybe also like a spot where they could think of where they can see that the thing is maybe not that unstable, so that it just would slid over an avalanche of rock and debris. So she said, let's step back a step, and let's look at this situation here. So she looks at that. So she secures an advantage for Jebran with wets. Okay, it's a weak hit. Your advantage is short-lived. Take 1 momentum. I mean, she at least gets 1 momentum, which is quite a lot. But so yeah. I mean, she tries to say that, but I mean, she's not that experienced as Jebran would, and so she tries to look there and at the situation and says, is there maybe good, or there? No, there's a lot of maybe debris on the there, so it maybe not that good. Maybe this is steep, not steep enough. And at some point, Jebran becomes a bit impatient, so he's listening to her for a minute, and at one point he thinks to himself, okay, I guess a minute is enough to have at least like covered his bases, in a sense of, okay, I have heeded her warning, the thing that I said to her anyway, as a lesson. So now, let's head on. I don't want to keep too long here. Let's press on. So he maybe lets her still look at it, and then just heads off onto where he thinks is the less steep incline, and just begins to walk onto the rubble and debris, and starts to climb up the small rubble heap here, in order to get to the other side of the wall, into the keep proper. So I would say he is facing a danger here. Yeah, and I think it's not that entirely aggressive, but I think he needs to use strength here, etc., to get to there. So yeah, let's say he faces danger, in a sense, just with his pure force, it tries to just get over there, to just get over it. Strong hit, so it's successful. So again, as I said, he's like waiting a minute, listening to her, but yeah, whatever, blah blah blah. And then at some point, he just heads off again with his grumpy demeanor, under his breath, mumbles maybe a bit. So come on, let's get over it here. Like, right, literally get over it. So at one point, he just goes off, pans off, and like this heavy footsteps just walks off, and there's maybe like some rubble and debris that under him. So it's sometimes his feet slip out under him. There's like rubble and debris sliding down this heap, but I mean he's just going over it with such fervor and force. It just heads over it, and the other end maybe even slides a bit on his on his ass a bit, or like so slides down on the other side, and then yells over to Katania, "Come on, let's get moving." So now Katania has to do the same. She has to get over it, but she tries to do it in a more a bit more concentrated. So she tries to find. She tests every step, every footing she takes to get over this heap of rubble, and again tries to find first not the steepest part of it, and she maybe takes takes the same path as Jebran did, more or less. So because of his intense force as he walked up, he pressed the debris a bit better into it, and what has slid. So she has maybe a bit better footing, and it's maybe a bit more stable for her. I mean, she's also not that heavy as Jebran would be, but so it's like a it's already prepared, and she also gets a strong hit, which is nice. So she has quite a lot of momentum now. So yeah, she's following him, and again gets to the other side without too much of an issue after they spend a bit of a time here to just basically get into the keep. So they now traverse the wall, the outer wall of the keep. So they're now inside the keep, and so the question is, I would say, let's roll. Let's say there is 1d4 plus 2 buildings here. Okay, there's 5 buildings here. So I would say there's like a bigger building. So as I said, it's basically like the whole keep is built into this hill, or not completely, but I mean part of it. So I would say there's like the largest building, which sits at the far back in the center. There is the bigger building there that is like part of it is built into the hill, and the other part is just looking out of it. So this is like the biggest building, and the parts that are probably built into the hill. They're still more or less intact because they're not the nature there. So normally, what causes the destruction, so to speak, is like heavy rain, etc., which is like washing away all the what holds together the wall back then. So that's why at some point then it begins to crumble into it from its just mostly from its own weight, which is no longer supported by whatever means they had to glue, so to speak, the stones together. But if you're more inside the hill, you could basically just carve out the hill and just like put in supportive structure there, which may or may not become over the ages, but it's probably more longer intact than outside, I would presume. So they could maybe imagine that there's maybe some sort of like more structure in there that's maybe even intact. And then I would say there's like the other 4 buildings that are a bit smaller. There's like so the bigger building is in the center of this whole thing, and then in front of it there's like a big road that leads to basically from the portcullis or from the entrance to this building. There's like a large road there, and it goes to a small, or right in front of the of the building. There's like a big a plaza maybe, or like just a big town center, or like keep center, so to speak. And then next to it, along the road, there's like 2 buildings on each side of this road and this plaza. There's like these 2 other buildings, or these 4 other buildings there. So that's more or less how it's constructed. So there's like so there's this. That's how there's 5 buildings, and there's like the outer wall is then protecting them. So there's these 4 towers. So on each corner of the thing, there's like these round towers, and there's on each tower on the back side here. Now that they've reached over the wall here, so they can now so there's they can see that in the back side there's like small doorway or small hallway where they could where they would be able to enter these towers to climb up. And there's maybe like one of them, or we will see if maybe 1 or 2 of them are destroyed or something like that, or mostly destroyed. So that's how they. And I would say that so the entrance to this whole thing is on the south side. So on the north side there would be the bigger building, and so there's like on east and west side there is the just wall. And so I would say that then that they get in on the east side of, or on the west side of this whole thing. Just there's not too far away from from the entrance. Maybe well, no, maybe it would see even on the south end. So there's like maybe like the entrance, and there's like 4 or 5 meters to the left of the entrance. There was a like crumbled in part of the wall, so they could get over there and get into the keep from there. So yeah, so that's how they get into there. Or it's just a small breach in the wall, right next to the keep door, so to speak. And they now see proper, so they can go back to, they can move back to the roads that is in the middle of the whole keep, and as I said, there's like the 2 buildings on each side, and then the bigger building in the center, and at the northern part, maybe like a quarter into the hill itself. And Jebran is looking at the whole thing here and says, well, that's fancy. So the kids could be in any of these buildings, which is great. So the smaller buildings are maybe like 1-story buildings, and the bigger one is maybe like a 2-story building. But at least he says there will be probably a good spot somewhere to keep overnight if necessary. But I mean, the kids could be everywhere. They could be in the big building, they could be in the towers, they could be everywhere. I mean, his Jebran is maybe like a bit pissed here again, grumpy that he has to like search for such a long time to find just some pieces of kits that have run off. Who knows where? So yeah, he's pissed and grumpy, and but at least he got over the rubble. He is patting down his clothes to get rid of the dust that has accumulated while he was moving over the rubble here, the pile of rubble from the breach in the wall. And yeah, so he now moves on and says, okay, let's find those kids and get out of here as fast as possible. And I think that's a good place to stop this session. Yeah, we come here, gave a little bit flesh to this place. I'm pleased how it is evolved. So it's much more interesting here. So we have a bit of a map on where to explore. So we have these 5 buildings here that we could try to explore and find out what's the state of them. We have the 4 towers that we could explore. And maybe there's even something beyond the bigger building. So I could maybe imagine there's maybe some sort of mine, or maybe something underground in this thing. So we could find out here. So this may be the source of the haunts. Maybe something underneath it all. This is quite interesting, and we'll see how this site develops over time with that in mind. So yeah, I'm quite I'm quite happy and quite intrigued on what might happen next, and I hope you too and all are also listening in the next time we accompany Jebran and Katania deeper into the Underkeep of Spectres, as it is known. Yeah, so we will hear us next time.